Everybody, thanks for watching. Today we're going to be talking about the stuff that we don't like about our Toyota Sienna. This is the 2021 Toyota Sienna. We've had it for about 6 months now, and while there's a lot of things we love about this van, there's still a bunch of things we hate. So let's get into them. These were advertised as bright wheels, and I was thinking they're nice bright alloy wheels. Well, in fact, they're plastic.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I'm blown away that a limited trim vehicle, which is their second highest trim level, comes with plastic wheels. It's just straight up ridiculous. All right, another problem I have with this new generation of the Sienna is this general cargo area is really, it's not as flat as the old one. It's actually got all these undulations. It's not very even. There's a lot of stuff to catch on if you want to slide things in and out of the back. Here's actually a quick shot of a third generation Sienna, and you can just see how much more flat and even that rear cargo surface is compared to the 2021. It's one of the reasons a lot of the time we just keep this moving blanket back here, because it just makes it easier to slide stuff in and out of the back of the van. It's not a very even floor, and I was actually pretty surprised. It's definitely not as flat as the third generation van, which had a much nicer, flatter floor back here. All right, let's talk about cup holders for a second. So there's 4 cup holders in the front of this car. You got this one, and then these 2, and this has this little cover, and then there's this little like tray thing here. Now, these 2 just straight up suck. This is a pretty standard, this isn't a giant size, this is like a 20-ounce Yeti cooler cup, and it kind of fits just barely, but it barely goes in, like maybe a ½ inch. Like you take any corners and this thing's gonna for sure tip over. This is another standard, this isn't a very large diameter cooler cup, fits fine up here, will not fit in these at all. So you can put it up there, put it there, those are okay. But yeah, these ones,
it's not gonna fit.
Just absolutely suck. I don't know what this is for. I don't know if that was supposed to be to put a phone. You can set a phone there. The problem is it tips back and forth while you drive. It just does that the whole time. Even if you put it in there sideways, it just sits there and flips back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's not like it stays at a particular angle where it's just going to stay there. So again, I don't know. I'm not sure what that was for. I mean, again, you can put a phone there, but it just flips back and forth. The better spot for the phone, depending on the size of your phone, is up here. I guess as long as you don't have a drink there. I don't know. My phone, this is just an iPhone X, and it kind of doesn't stay there either because it's a little too tall. If you had a smaller phone, it would probably sit in that angled spot. I don't know. They just really didn't think out the cup holders. Let's take a look at the ones in the back really quick. So in the back, here's your center console, and then the rear seat cup holders for the second row are way down there. You can kind of fit that in. I think that would stay. It's not too bad. So they have at least a little bit bigger diameter, but they're really far away, especially for a kid sitting in the second row. That's like completely out of reach for most kids. I think the better spot to put the drinks for your kids is these little net pockets that sit on the side of each seat. I think that makes a much better solution for the second row cup holders. I don't know. They're just not very well placed for me. The other issue I have in the third row is back to the cup holder scenario. So again, this is I don't know, what I think is a pretty standard size water bottle that you would carry nowadays. And it don't fit at all. Like it just Yeah, it doesn't fit. If we try it on this side, it kind of fits there, but it's, I mean, it doesn't take much for that to tip out. It won't fit in the other one at all. I mean, you have to have pretty small beverages in this third row to use the cup holders, is the bottom line. So this new van only has a lower glove box. It's a pretty standard glove box. The old van used to have another one like right here. So there was two glove boxes, one high, one low. Now we just have this little shelf which has this really slippery material. So anything you set here slides all over the place. It's not going to fall off because of this lip, but on the flip side, it's going to just slide all over the place, which is kind of a bummer. Another thing that's missing in this newer version of the van is the little coin tray that used to be like over here on the side. There's a little like fold out tray. You could throw like nickels and dimes and pennies and stuff in there. There's no tray like that over here anymore. All we have is this little cutout. It is rubberized though, which is, that part's nice, I guess. So like we have a gate key that we keep in there, but anyway, I kind of miss having the old coin tray. I thought that was a convenient place to just throw little bits and odds and ends and stuff, and that's completely missing in this van. Okay, the wireless charger up here, cool idea. I don't know about execution, but I tell you, for my phone, you throw it up there and it tends to slide around while you're driving. It kind of moves back and forth. And what I've found is that if it's not in the exact right position, the wireless charging doesn't work. It's got to be like in a very specific spot. But because your phone slides around while you drive, it doesn't stay continuously charging. So for us, I've found that the wireless charger, maybe it works better on other phones, but for ours, it for the most part does not really work. If you want to use CarPlay, you have to plug it into this USB port right here, which again, I don't think is a fantastic location. I guess if you have a short USB cord, you can just plug it in and then just lay your phone there and maybe not worry about it because it'll charge from the USB. I don't know. I'm not super thrilled with where this is, to be honest. Let's spend a minute talking about Apple CarPlay and Amazon Music. If you're using both of these, you're not going to like this. The whole system straight up sucks for this. Basically, if you want to use your voice to do things like text messages, you have to be plugged in and use Apple CarPlay. You cannot do that via Bluetooth on this car. It doesn't have the steering wheel button option via Bluetooth that Toyota used to have called Siri Eyes Free. That doesn't work on this van. It works on older Toyotas, not on this one. If you want to listen to your Amazon Music, you can do that with CarPlay. That's all fine. But if you want to search for songs via using the Alexa keyword, you cannot do that via CarPlay. You have to have that using Bluetooth. And they even have another app they want you to run called Toyota Plus Alexa. Bottom line, the whole thing is a giant pain in the butt. You can't do the steering wheel button option. If you want to do text messages via voice, you got to plug in. If you want to search for music with Amazon Music via voice, you can't be plugged in. It's a bit of a catch-22. I guess maybe if you're all in on Apple Music, maybe the whole thing's fine. But if you're using those two things, this system does not work well. We just flat out quit trying to use CarPlay altogether and just use Bluetooth. So in the rear seat, we've got the fold down screen, which is awesome and everything, except this van has absolutely no DVD player in it. There's no CD player, there's no DVD player. maybe we're old school.
Yes, I love technology.
But I still like the option to throw a couple DVDs in the car on a long road trip and just have them, you know, hit play and let the kids watch some movies. The only way to do that in here is to either use that HDMI port, which is an option, but you need obviously a player or console of some kind to use that. Or there's a way to do some wireless streaming, like you can like cast your iPhone or your iPad up to this screen, I guess. But then there's all these restrictions on, well, you can only do that if you're not using Bluetooth for audio. And so if you're using Bluetooth audio in the front, then you can't do the wireless streaming back here. I don't know. It's more of a pain in the butt, I think, to do it that way. I have a couple ideas of maybe some small media players that we can use and plug into that HDMI port. So I'll get that figured out. But I'm pretty blown away that in a $50,000 van, they've just said, nope, no more DVDs. So kind of bummed about that. So right now, this screen just goes completely unused. So our old van, these rear windows, like these actually vented. There's a little button up in the front you could push, and both of these rear windows would pop out, which was nice if you just wanted to get some airflow in the back. That was on an XLE trim level. These ones are fixed, like these windows don't move at all. They're either manually or with a motor, which is kind of a bummer. One of the biggest annoyances we have with the back of this van is this rubber seal right here. If you sit on here and kind of slide forward or lean, this rubber seal, as you see right here, it starts to slide off. I mean, it comes off really easy. I'm barely pulling here, and the rubber seal just like comes right off. I don't know if this is supposed to be glue or if it's grease, but whatever it is, this thing does not stay on well. We're constantly having to push this thing back on, and I'm not sure what to do with it yet. I expect at some point Toyota is going to have a recall on this.
Just telling you. Don't say I didn't warn you.
All right. We've sat on here. You end up doing this, and whatever this grease stuff is ends up getting on the back of your pants. It's a horrible design for a seal. It's constantly coming off. I cannot believe that they made it to production with this design on this rear seal. It's just absolutely horrible. And when it comes to storing stuff, I'm just talking about like odds and ends stuff like jumper cables, maybe tire chains, things like that. There's no obvious spot. Now the old van, this obviously has a spare tire now. The old van just had this like kind of cut out cubby thing back here, and that was a great place to put stuff like that. Maybe dog leashes, you know, whatever you could throw back there and it was fine. The old van even had these would like fold up, and there was like a cubby in there that you could put things down in there as well. None of that exists on this van. So when it comes to just storing kind of the random stuff that you might want to keep, even like emergency road stuff like road flares, things like that, there's no obvious good place to keep those in this van, right? You can't put them down here because you're taking your seats in and out, and that would get in the way of the seats. The only solution I've come up with is to use the space inside the spare tire itself. And so if you look in there, like I've got my jumper cables, I don't know if you can see them back there. I've got my jumper cable stashed back there, a roll of duct tape. We've got dog leash under here, a collapsible dog water bowl, tire chains. My tire chains are down underneath here. It's not ideal, but there's actually a lot of room behind this tire. I mean, there's a lot of room back there. It's just kind of wasted space otherwise. So I chose to use that area to like store that type of stuff, but they didn't really think out, okay, well, where's somebody going to put, you know, a set of jumper cables or something like that. Like, all right, on the topic of just general storage for stuff, the van doesn't have a lot of great places to put things, like, you know, things like boxes of tissues, sunscreen, masks that we're all using now, water bottles, you know, fun stuff for the kids, like they like to draw or read books, whatever it is that you're bringing, you know, in the car these days. There's no good spot to put all this stuff. And so, you know, my wife just bought these kind of organizer things, and we just kind of keep them in here in the back seat. Now, it makes it difficult for people to use this as a passage to get to the third row, but at least we can keep all of our stuff, you know. And then my wife also got these little organizer things to hang on the backs of the driver's and the passenger seats. But there's no just obvious place to keep all of this stuff. Now up front, you do have this area underneath. You know, it's usable if you put something like we put this little bin down here that can actually hold stuff and keep it from falling out the sides, because these sides aren't very high. So that's helpful, but without that, this isn't a super usable space. And then lastly, the center console, it's definitely not as big as the old generation van. It is deep, which is nice, I suppose, but it's not super big. You can't put anything very large in this center console. And this center console also does not move back and forth like the old van, because this one's integrated into the whole bridge here. Well, there it is, all the stuff that we really don't like about this new Sienna. Don't forget to check out our other video where we talk about the stuff that we do like about the new Sienna. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.